people know how long it's been since I've done a Booksmarts video blog? Do you know how many books I have to catch you up on? These are all the books that I've gone through since I last talked to you. So I'm going to tell you about all of them given the constraints of time and space. I'm going to do it in 3 minutes, all these, and because I never like to do anything the easy way, I'm also going to be eating these packets of Pop Rocks while I'm explaining these books. Ready? There we go. Let's start with Apartment Therapy. This was a really cool book, just giving a lot of great ideas for if you want to redesign your apartment. I'm really... can you hear that? It really gives a wide range of styles of apartments, everywhere from New York to here in Chicago. At the end of each little article about a place, it gives a list of all the stores and websites and places so you can buy the things you see if you like it and want to turn your home into a really cool place, just like these. I also reviewed Little Brother by Cory Doctorow, which is a wonderful book about, it takes place in the not too distant future, and it's about this kid, and there's a terrorist attack in San Francisco, and the government thinks that he's part of the terrorist attack, and he's actually a terrorist, but he's not, and the government turns all these technologies people have against themselves, tracking people using RFID or RIF, what's it called? It's really easy to imagine how this can become a reality. It's really just spooky, all the technology, and kind of not just for, it's a young adult book, but it's not just for young adults. The Pixar Touch is about Pixar, obviously the company, but it really explains a lot that I had no idea about the company. It started in the 70s, it was under Lucasfilm, but he was originally going to use it to make software, and they didn't want to make software though, they wanted to make movies, so they were kind of like, yeah, we're making software, and then they eventually sold to Steve Jobs after he got kicked out of Apple, and he gave them millions and millions and millions year after year, and they were losing money, and he kept it alive for some reason. Yes. Candy Bar. A small-town Texas runaway who became the darling of the mob and the queen of Las Vegas burlesque. This book was kind of interesting. The writer was a really bad writer. I don't know, a lot of the time he talked about the city of Dallas. And that was the most interesting part of the book when it wasn't actually talking about Candy. He was talking about Dallas and kind of its up-and-coming growth in the 1950s. And if he had focused more on that rather than Candy, well, then it probably wouldn't have made a book about Candy Bar. It would have been a book about Dallas. But I think he should have written a book about that instead, because that seemed a lot more interesting to me. Alright, 4 books down, 4 to go. 1 pack of Pop Rocks down, the other pack to go. The Brothers K, which was a recommendation to me, which I still haven't completely gotten through because it's kind of thick and I can't really get into it. It's about baseball in the 50s or 60s, and there's brothers and religion, and I'm not really interested in brothers, religion, or baseball, or that time period. What are you going to do? Supposedly once you get past page 100, it gets much better, so... This was another recommendation that I'm just getting through. Max Tivoli, evidently it was a Today Book Show book, but I was telling a friend about that new movie with Brad Pitt where he's grown as an 80-year-old man, but then he ages backwards, and they're like, oh, that's that book. I'm like, no, actually it was based on an F. Scott Fitzgerald book, and they're like, well, it sounds exactly like this book, so I think this guy ripped off F. Scott Fitzgerald. Douche. I also reviewed this book, So You Want to Be President, which was really awful. He broke out the George Washington wooden teeth jokes on page 6. Page 6! I am getting so sugar high off these Pop Rocks. And last but not least, Nixonland. I'm almost done with Nixonland. It is about Richard Nixon, obviously, but it's more about how the country became what it became today because of him. I'm just reading about all the shady things he did, and they're pretty shady. He's a pretty backhanded and slimy guy. Look at that face. Look at that big Nixon face. Ugh. So there you go. 8 book reviews in 3 minutes. And a lot of Pop Rocks. Hopefully it won't be too long before my next book review video thing. As usual, please read.